Everyone has to start somewhere. No one is born a master of their craft, and no one gets there without putting in some work. Making movies is obviously no exception.
Some filmmakers get their start working on someone else's film, learning the art in the industry from the inside. Others are formally educated in the process, or are taught by a more accomplished mentor. But there are a few that are more ambitious.
Alone or in groups of like-minded individuals, these few just decide to jump into the deep end. They look at established properties and franchises and say, I could do better than that. And who knows, maybe they can.
Even these ballsy amateurs have a learning curve. Case in point, The Dead Gentleman, a group of college kids that over the years have achieved popularity through a series of remarkably funny, unabashedly cheesy films. They're a textbook example of what we're talking about. Their first film, The Demon Hunters, was a perfect storm of goofiness, undeniably enjoyable, but lacking in technical sophistication.
Today's topic, however, was released 5 years later, a sequel that perfectly illustrates how far they had come and how far they still had to go.
And thus, dear viewers, we present Demon Hunters 2, Dead Camper Lake.
Our story picks up more or less where the Demon Hunters left off. We rejoin our two surviving heroes as Chris and Gabriel make their way towards the eponymous Dead Camper Lake. Waking Chris from a dream of being a badass demon hunter, Gabriel has him sign some forms. You see, apparently the Brotherhood of the Celestial Torch has an application process.
Hey, aren't some of those guys dead?
I can just picture that interview process.
Alright, sir. Can you tell me why you wish to join our organization?
Demonic bastards killed my family and ate my dog.
I see. I'll just check family murdered and house pet consumed here. Do you believe in the Lord God Almighty?
Oh, sure do.
Do you truly wish to battle the forces of evil in a shadowy, unsung crusade for all eternity?
Yep.
Alright. And what special skills do you feel you can offer the Brotherhood?
Well, you don't play amp guard on the weekends for 10 years without learning something about courage.
Excellent. Orientation is Tuesday at 8 a.m. sharp. Welcome aboard.
Anyway, as they drive, Gabriel takes a moment to exposit, explaining the lake and its surroundings are a border town, a place where the boundaries between the mortal and celestial realms are thin.
It seems that the Brotherhood closed a spiritual gateway there years ago and maintains a safe house there that also serves as a garrison to prevent anyone from reopening the gate.
Wait, so Dead Camper Lake is the Hellmouth from Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Good to know, I suppose.
When they arrive, they row across the lake to the soothing strains of some Final Fantasy music. Then they begin the long hike up the mountain.
Taking the first available opportunity to wander off alone, Chris is immediately jumped by a bad guy calling himself Sam Hell, who is apparently just kind of meandering about in the middle of the forest. What, was he waiting for a bus?
Gabriel drives Sam off and explains that he is an angel killer, a known member of the Order of the Infernal Scepter. The Order is apparently Lucifer's answer to the Brotherhood. You know, this just isn't the same as the first movie. Chris hasn't even damned yet.
And why didn't you tell me about these guys before?
Honestly, I didn't think you'd live long enough to need to know.
Damn!
Yes, that's better, movie. Pray continue.
When the pair finally arrives at the Brotherhood safe house, they're confronted by the cosplay brigade here. Wouldn't you know it, it's time for a fight scene.
Predictably, Chris is magnificently effective, facing off against not Trinity here and getting his cowardly ass handed to him so badly that she actually apologizes for hitting him so hard.
The future of the Brotherhood, ladies and gentlemen.
Meanwhile, Gabriel makes a good fight of it, busting out some high-level protagonist foo. Still, he is outnumbered and eventually outmatched.
Gabriel recognizes one of his attackers as Angel before she cold cocks him with extreme prejudice. Unfortunately, not that one.
No, this chick in white is apparently named Angel, and from the first word she utters, she radiates a palpable aura of pure bitchitude.
Nice to see you again, Gabe.
Chris and Gabriel are taken inside, and we realize that their attackers are in fact another team of demon hunters from the Brotherhood, led by Gabriel's old friend Ichabod. In fact, this chapter is Team Alpha 1, the best of the best.
Anyway, in the course of their conversation, we also meet the other members of Alpha 1. There's icy, scathing bitch Angel, of course.
Then there's Sophia, Chris's gothy assailant from earlier, who seems to be the friendliest of the lot.
There's this guy, who apparently goes by London. He's basically dressed like a refugee from the 70s punk scene, fights with a length of chain, and reaches heroically for a Liverpool by way of Hollywood accent, but doesn't quite get there.
You'll find everything you need in here. Right, gentlemen, enjoy your stay at Dead Camper Lake.
Seriously, he's like the rootinest, tootinest, fightinest, most lovable chimney sweep in all Westminster.
And then there's Victoria, who seems awfully, rabid for a servant of the Lord.
Herr Dr. von Stereotype here is named, Herr Doctor? Shit. That's seriously how he's listed in the credits. They're doing our job for us here. Anyway, he completes the trifecta of hilarious accents, but is otherwise fairly nondescript.
Consider his streak broken.
Oh, and Alpha 1, of course, has their own cipher. Like his name, he is a zero, as in zero interest, zero personality, and zero character.
While initially seeming to greet Chris and Gabriel in friendship, the atmosphere becomes strained when Ichabod hands down the word from Brotherhood HQ. It seems they hold Gabriel responsible for the death of his team and for Dwarmithrax's victims from the previous film. Gabriel is apparently out, stripped of his title and forced to hand in his special demon hunting sword.
Wait, Brotherhood headquarters? I thought they reported directly to God. Did the Alpha and the Omega himself decide to fire Gabriel's ass? Is there some kind of celestial pink slip involved? Is there a severance package for demon hunters? A pension? I have so many questions.
Wait, what failure? They killed the demon. You know, Dwarmithrax the Indestructible? The one that they, destructed?
Anyway, we cut to our two protagonists in a bar, and Gabriel orders Chris to play the piano to lighten the mood.
After a few seconds of fumbling, Chris pulls a full-on musical number called The Demon Hunter Blues straight out of his ass. This might be a good place to mention that Steve Wolbricht, who plays Chris, also co-produced the music for this film.
Oh, yeah.
Why did Chris want to be an accountant? He's not a bad musician.
Gabriel's despair is brightened somewhat by a reunion with his old friend Tree. Yes, you are seeing this correctly. That, dear viewers, is a tree in a cowboy hat. And he is a demon hunter.
And somehow it's a him?
Does that make him a hand?
In the course of the following conversation, we get a flashback to just after the Vancouver disaster, and we learn that Angel is in fact an old flame of Gabriel's, but that she left him for Ichabod after Gabriel was dismissed from Alpha 1 and Ichabod promoted in his place.
Well, it's good to know that demon hunters have starfuckers.
Gabriel, realizing the score, left to don the black do-rag of mourning he sports to this day. When they head back to their quarters in a nearby chalet, they find the door open and an intruder inside. Gabriel is elated when it turns out to be a member of his old team, Silent Jim. Wait, we saw Dwarmithrax impale him through the heart. I call shenanigans!
I exist outside of time.
Oh, well, that makes sense then, I suppose. I mean, I was afraid it would be something random and silly.
Now that Silent Jim is back and Gabriel is feeling a little less defeatist, they man up some, find themselves a new cipher to aid them, and form a new team of demon hunters to rejoin the war against darkness.
We rock.
Damn straight we do.
But first, they have to get Chris up to speed. Somehow, Gabriel's going to have to turn Chris from a useless dipshit into a lean, mean, demon-hunting machine. They're gonna need a montage. didn't work.
Okay, so now that Chris is, well, still hopelessly pathetic, the new team's linguistically challenged cipher, La Cifra, determines that the Brotherhood network is being jammed by an Order of the Infernal Scepter signal. Worse, it's being broadcast from somewhere nearby. The Order must be close.
Meanwhile, Sam Hell, remember him, attacks Chris, and only Tree's timely intervention saves him from an ignominious death. When they capture Sam and turn him over to Ichabod, however, they receive a nasty surprise.
It's revealed that all the Alpha Ones, with the exception of Sophia, are in fact turncoats and members of the Order of the Infernal Scepter.
Now, I don't want to boast here, but I saw this coming a mile away. Only a true villain could punish the world with an accent as bad as Ichabod's.
Ichabod orders London and Victoria to finish off our heroes, then fucks off to do, something? Something villainous, I guess.
So would you believe it's time for the fight scene again? Gabriel and Sophia face off against London, but vanquish him with Chris's heroically inept help. The main event, however, is Silent Jim versus Victoria. I don't think we mentioned it before, but Victoria is apparently either some sort of Frankenstein's monster or a goddamn Terminator. Silent Jim empties several clips of ammo into her, but she just keeps coming. Eventually, he is forced to resort to hand-to-hand, but manages to take her out.
So, bullets are a no-go, but fisticuffs will do her?
After the two Infernalists are beaten, the hunters regroup. Apparently, Chris's comic antics and heroic levels of cowardice really get Sophia's motor running, so to speak. And the two share a, romantic? Is that what we're calling it? A romantic moment.
Also, apparently Sophia's a vampire. Okay, we'll go with it.
They saddle up and head out to find and neutralize the jamming signal and the evil Alpha 1 cipher for good measure.
Gabriel and Silent Jim are imprisoned by force fields, because they can do force fields, apparently, and in danger of being gassed to death. It's up to La Cifra to save the day, which he does by engaging in a life-or-death geek-off with the evil cipher.
Meanwhile, Sophia, Tree, and Chris are attacked by London and Sam. Chris manages to actually do something this time, tricking London into catching a live grenade and blowing him to bits. Oh, and London was a werewolf. We're gonna go with that too.
Wait a second, this looks like a...
Chris is eventually kidnapped by Sam, who also manages to kill Tree.
Tree! No!
He was the finest mind of his generation.
This is sadder than when Jim Henson died.
Anyway, the baddies are apparently planning on using Chris as a virgin sacrifice in a ritual to resurrect Dwarmithrax and open a full-on Hellgate.
Virgin sacrifice.
Never mind. There does seem to be some unrest in Evil Town, however, since Angel doesn't think that it's a great idea to unleash an invulnerable and uncontrollable demonic killing machine on the world again.
Women, am I right?
Ichabod's accent, however, bad speaks her into submission, and the ritual is performed, Chris is impaled by Herr Doktor's sacrificial knife, and Dwarmithrax the Indestructible is reborn, looking like something out of a Gwar stage show.
Elsewhere, the hunters have managed to re-establish access to the Brotherhood's network, and Gabriel has La Cifra patch him through to the director, who turns out to be Saint Peter?
Like the Saint Peter? The one who was one of Christ's 12 apostles? First pope of the Catholic Church? That Saint Peter?
Okay, this is fucked up right here.
So the Brotherhood's network has a direct line to heaven?
Wait, couldn't they have just prayed for reinforcements? I mean, surely the Order can't hack prayers, and the Brotherhood does report to God, as in the Lord Almighty, who is supposed to be omniscient, and thus would know what was going on anyway? Why is this place not swarming with Brotherhood hunters by now?
Then again, he's apparently allowed Ichabod's accent to roam the earth unchallenged thus far, so... Anyway, Peter reveals that Gabriel's termination was a ruse by Alpha 1 and that he was actually in line for a goddamn medal.
Called it.
After a pep talk from old Pete, Gabriel sets off to get some shit done. While in the ritual chamber from before, Chris wakes up.
Ooh, he's back! Yippee!
Yeah, turns out that love bite that Sophia gave him earlier has made him a vampire now. His vampirism apparently causes him to overact outrageously, but as a side benefit has repaired the dagger hole in his shirt and cleaned all the blood off of it as well. Vampirism. What can't it do?
Upon his reanimation, Chris overhears Angel trying to convince Ichabod not to bother going after Gabriel, that he isn't worth the time. When Ichabod storms off, Angel says the following, trembling with passionate intensity.
This has gone too far.
If only she seemed to give half a shit, then this would be incredibly dramatic. Ah, well. Count Chrysula, apparently at least marginally more effective in death than in life, makes a meal of Herr Dr. von Unobservantoff and returns to the Brotherhood. Upon realizing he's a vampire,
Silent Jim shoots him several times in the chest, but he eventually manages to tell them what happened, and then they set off to kick some ass. Note that Chris's shirt is apparently also gifted with the power of undead regeneration, since it's now absorbed several shotgun blasts without apparent harm.
Unfortunately, Dwarmithrax, scumdog of the universe, has already begun the opening of the Hellmouth, and a wave of demons that David Boreanaz would laugh off the set come through the gate. They sally forth to confront the hunters, accompanied by the music of Castlevania III and Thirsty for Blood.
things look bad for our heroes, but God is with them. Perhaps more helpful in this instance anyway is the sudden arrival of
Captain Mike!
The Purple Ninja!
The Purple Ninja!
The greatest demon hunter of them all!
Truly, now the forces of evil will face a reckoning. He handily defeats the demons, but wait, they keep calling him the greatest of hunters, but we know next to nothing about him.
I know he wears an awful lot of purple for a white guy. What else do you want to know?
Gabriel, meanwhile, faces off against Angel, but rather than kill him, she instead hands him
The Alpha Sword.
And then delivers a staggeringly poignant and emotional speech. Not a dry eye remained in the theater during this one, folks.
It's Ichabod. He's gone too far. He's insane and he won't stop and listen to reason. I was foolish to ever agree to this.
Sam Hell. Where the fuck does he keep coming from? Proceeds to offer without so much as a by your leave.
So Gabriel kills Sam for messing with his woman, then Dwarmithrax the Mighty appears in all his spiky, beleathered glory. Chris proceeds to soil his undead undies at the sight of him, but Gabriel keeps his head. He sicks the purple ninja on the last of the Earthwalkers, but to no avail.
Dwarmithrax hands them their asses, kidnaps Sophia for a late-night snack, and fucks off back to Ichabod. The hunters follow, and the techno soundtrack would seem to imply that it is once again time for the fight scene.
Chris and Jim are too late to prevent Dwarmithrax from pitching Gothula into the Hellgate, but the real show is the confrontation between Gabriel and the traitorous Ichabod. After an honestly pretty damned impressive sword fight, Ichabod loses the talisman that gives him control over Dwarmithrax, and the demon turns on him.
And then Ichabod meets a fate so gruesome that they can't afford to show it to us.
One by one, the hunters are drawn into the gateway until only Gabriel and Chris remain, and then they plunge through into hell itself, which resembles Gus Van Zant's Jerry? Seems about right.
Hell, it seems, is a vast desert cast in black and white monochrome. After the two encounter ominous signs that their friends are dead or captured, Gabriel is dragged off screen by persons unknown, and Chris is left alone in hell, accompanied only by a reprise of the Demon Hunter Blues.
And then it's over.
No, really. It ends there. That's it. Like Seven Doors of Death and The Dead Hate the Living, it just kind of peters out.
It just, yeah. So, what do we think?
Well, this is a much more technically and artistically sophisticated film than its predecessor. It's obvious the Dead Gentlemen learned quite a bit as they went along, going from talented amateurs to accomplished and proficient filmmakers, albeit filmmakers without much of a budget to speak of.
The action sequences might not seem like that much, but you gotta consider that they made them without any kind of Hollywood wireworks or special effects. They accomplished a lot on very, very little, and that's honestly pretty impressive.
While we found the reveal that the Alpha Ones were secretly baddies fairly obvious, the plot is more involved and the characters more developed. The movie overall feels much more polished as a result.
That said, it's still cheesy, and it's got some pacing problems. But the real weight around this film's neck is some of its performances.
The ending is obvious sequel bait, and it implies a trilogy, but that never happened. I'm gonna be completely honest here. I really don't like this one as much. I mean, it's better, but it kind of lacks the sort of ethereal something that the original had that made it so endearing.
I honestly really, really love Dead Camper Lake. While it's not my favorite Dead Gentleman product by far, it definitely ranks up near the top. The biggest problem I have with it is a serious lack of Matt Vancel. To be honest, he's part of what made the Demon Hunters so much fun. I don't mind the acting, and I don't mind the villains. Although they're not nearly as memorable as Dwarmithrax, I think they were meant to be so over the top, and honestly, their cheesiness is kind of enjoyable. The real thing that sells me on this, though, as compared to the other one, Lucifera and Tree. Tree is the greatest thing ever.
The film is available at the Dead Gentleman's website, and we'd certainly recommend giving it a try. Also look for their newest work, The Gamers 3, Hands of Fate, which is currently in the early stages of production. If you're interested in supporting the project more directly, check out their Kickstarter page. Also, for those planning on attending Gen Con Indy 2012, be sure to check them out at their live improv event.
Well, that's another episode down. This has been Film Inflicted Trauma.
Listen to us now and make no mistake. We're gonna have fun 'cause it's spring break. We'll pour, we'll score, we'll fall flat on the floor. We'll do all this and a whole lot more. We're cabin in the woods, ooh. Cabin in the woods, yeah. We're 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Yeah! 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. On our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Cabin in the woods. Cabin in the woods. We're 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Cabin in the woods. Cabin in the woods. We're 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods.
Make Nox Eterna! Make Nox Eterna! Please make Nox Eterna!